We are deep into the Disney Plus era now. It's time to talk about everyone's favorite bounty hunter turned crime lord. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. Now, before we get into this week's topic, I have a couple of thank yous to throw out. Firstly, a massive thank you to Nate and Justin from Out of the Basement for having me on the Lazy Sunday livestream this week. I've been watching and enjoying their content for such a long time, so actually getting to sit down and have a proper discussion with them about Star Wars toys was absolutely brilliant. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, so thank you so much for having me, guys. I truly appreciate it. And in a related subject to this week's video, I also wanted to throw out some thanks to one of my viewers, Nicholas from the channel Niklos, or Arc Commander Niklos, for sending me my very own deluxe Book of Boba Fett Black Chrysanthemum. I am absolutely thrilled with him. And not only that, but he also lent me his copy of Inferno Squad, which is a book that I've been itching to try and find in hardback for a really long time so I can read it, and now I actually can. So I'll have to get that read and sent back to you as quick as I can. Thank you so much for your help, Nicholas, and thank you so much for my Black Chrysanthemum. Very much appreciated. But on to this week's topic. I don't think I've ever made it a secret on this channel that Boba Fett and I don't really talk very often, or at least we didn't. I never really understood the Boba Fett hype when I was growing up. I always thought that Jango was the superior Fett of the two. So when news came out that there was going to be a TV series called The Book of Boba Fett that was going to be continuing the story of The Mandalorian, I was kind of hesitant going into it. I was like, I don't want this to end up being the first Star Wars thing that just doesn't do it for me. But as it turns out, the only thing you really need to add to Boba Fett's characterization is Tamira Morrison, and then I end up loving it because I really enjoyed the series. I loved how it told the story of someone who has done the same thing their entire life, just being a bounty hunter because that's who his dad was, so that's who he has to be. And then he has this near-death experience that kind of gives him an epiphany and makes him realize, I don't want to spend my life doing this, I want to do something else. And getting to see him struggle with being a crime lord and basically just trying to figure out who he is without being the notorious bounty hunter Boba Fett. It was a surprisingly enjoyable show for me. And as you can well see, Boba Fett and I, we are friends now. So I feel like this, as well as its position in canon, qualifies the series for a top 5 wish list because we do everything in canon. Movie, TV show, whatever you like, even video games. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you the top 5 characters from the Book of Boba Fett that I need to see come to the Black Series. We've had a few figures in this line and they've all been absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure each Book of Boba Fett figure, whether it has found its way onto a top 10 list already or whether it's probably going to, they've all been brilliant. So I am very excited to talk about these figures. Of course, we're going to be following the same rules that we always do. No HasLabs, no vehicles. We're just talking about regular release figures and deluxe figures, because that's basically Hasbro's bread and butter. We don't want to ask them for anything too special. We just want to get some more character variation in the line. With that said, and I kind of mentioned this in my Mandalorian video, we're also still very early on after this series has come out, so not every character that appears in the series, and thusly not every character appearing on this list, has an established name yet. Sometimes it's just whatever their role is, like Frog Lady from Mandalorian. So you can look forward to that. With all of that said, let's get on with this. Let's talk about some honorable mentions and let's get into the list. For my first honorable mention, I am once again appearing before you to ask for Kid Boba Fett. Now, he appears very fleetingly in the series in flashbacks, but as we talked about on the livestream, the Omega body has provided us with a small child scale figure mold, which can be used to bring any number of child characters from the shows or films into the Black Series, and I feel like Boba Fett would be one of the easiest ones to do. We've already got adult Boba Fett, we have bounty hunter Boba Fett, we've got daimyo Boba Fett. Let's get Kid Boba Fett in the line, just so I can pose him really sad holding Jango's helmet on my shelf. I feel like that'd be fun. For my second honorable mention, I would love to get a twin pack of those 2 Gamorrean guards. Those guys were absolutely fantastic, and I would love to get figures of them. The official Gamorrean guard figure is one of the best they've ever done, so I feel like they could really replicate that, even just by slimming them down a bit and giving us, some good old old shirtless Gamguard action, I'd buy a 2-pack of those guys in a heartbeat. And my final honorable mention, he's an honorable mention here because he stole the show on my Return of the Jedi list. I want to get Max Rebo into the line any way that I can. So whether I have to buy a twin pack of Max Rebo and Figure Dan, I'll do it. I want to get that brilliant musician into the Black Series so we can finally build up our Jabba's Palace display some more, with some more background characters, and who is better for that than Max Rebo? Honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the list itself. Coming in at number 5, we have Drash. Now, honestly, I would take any of the mod, street urchin, Vespa riding kids from the show in figure form, and honestly, I am surprised that we haven't already, because everything from their design to the design of their vehicles basically screams merchandising at me. Like, it looks like they would translate so well into figure form, I don't understand why it hasn't happened. I would take any of them, but being as she is the most developed and three-dimensional of the crew, I would much prefer to get Drash in the line if I'm going to get any of them. She has a fantastic design. I absolutely love the vibrancy of her costume, and let's face it, the Black Series female mold has come such a long way. You know, when you compare old Redline figures like Rey and General Leia to what we're getting these days with Bastila Shan, there's no comparison at all, so it would be an absolutely perfect time to bring a character like Drash to the line. And let's do it. Let's address the elephant in the room. I've said it before and I will say it again, we need to get speeders and small vehicles back into the Black Series, and this would be a fantastic opportunity to do that. The designs on those Vespas just screamed the stuff that George Lucas grew up with, and you know he would have been all over them. And like I say, the vibrancy of the color, it just screams merchandising at me. Like, it just says, make toys of me, make action figures of me, and we haven't done it. So let's get these guys into the Black Series to really fill out that Book of Boba Fett display, because the line is sorely lacking at the moment. It needs a little bit more diversity, a little more color, so that's a great place to start. So the bike is really my pick for the accessory here, and I know I say at the start of all these lists, oh, no vehicles, but when I say no vehicles, I'm talking like no large vehicles that would require like a HasLab to produce them. Speeders have been in the Black Series before, and we need to get them back, but if I have to settle for her world's tiniest little blaster pistol, I will settle for that too. Drash is an excellent choice for number 5.
We're staying. The people who live here need our protection.
At number 4, we have the Rancor Keeper. Danny Trejo finally makes his way into Star Wars. I absolutely love it. While this character doesn't have a name yet, he has so much personality, and I think he is absolutely brilliant. The design is something similar to what we see in like the Skiff-Guard Lando figure, so it's possible you could get some reuse from that mold in this figure, but really what you need to do is nail that head sculpt, and I say that all the time. That should be like the tagline to my wishlist videos. Just nail that head sculpt, and I will buy it. But it's absolutely true. Danny Trejo played an excellent character. He is so cool to look at. And you know I'm a big fan of Malak Ely, the original Rancor trainer from Return of the Jedi, but this was a great next step. Like, every Rancor should come with one of these guys that has some kind of mystery in their backstory. Like, how did they come to have this Rancor? Why isn't this Rancor just eaten them? And that's great that they went in and explained that Rancors aren't typically violent creatures, and I absolutely love that. It's good to see the reflection between the Rancor and Boba Fett. They reflect each other so well. I don't even need a ton of accessories for this guy, to be honest, like maybe one of those big old pike things, or just something to make him look a little bit more Jabba's Palace-y. Like, stick some classic Jabba's Palace accessories in there. Or, you know, I mean, I did talk about potentially resurrecting the Rancor HasLab that one time, so if I were to bend my rules and say that I would take the Rancor Keeper if he came with a Rancor, then I said it. It's out there, it's in the universe, and I'm now going to pretend that I didn't say it, and I'm pretending that I stuck to my rules and I didn't bend or break them. The Rancor Keeper comes in at number 4.
Is depressed. Rancor are emotionally complex creatures.
At number 3, we have the Tusken Warrior. Now, we're getting the Tusken Chieftain in the Black Series, And the Vintage Collection already have the Tusken Warrior in their scale, but I feel like with that multi-pack of Tuskens that they got, and I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere that the Tusken Chieftain is in fact coming to Vintage Collection, so I am standing here and saying, well, if they get the Warrior and the Chieftain, then I want the Warrior and the Chieftain. I want both of them. And the Tusken Warrior is just a great character anyway. She had some brilliant scenes with Boba Fett during the flashback sequences. She's such an athletic figure, and again, this brings me back to the point that I made about the female body in the Black Series, how good it has gotten, and how well articulated it is now. You could get some really killer poses out of this Tusken Warrior. And I never thought I'd be sitting here asking for soft goods, but yes, stick her in a soft goods robe, just give her a gaffy stick and just go to town. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe if you want to stick a massive in there, that would make it even better. I mean, the Vintage Collection got a massive, so why can't we have one? I'll pay a little bit more for it, make it a deluxe. I don't care. I will buy it. I absolutely love this character. I want to see her represented on my shelf, and I want to add some more diversity to the Tusken Raider figures that I have. I think I've got about 3 or 4 Tusken Raiders, and only one of them is that really weird yellow one from the credit collection, so they all kind of look very one note. I'd like to get some of these darker robed Tuskens into the Black Series, and if I had to pick one to go for, it would be the Tusken Warrior. She's awesome. She would make a great Black Series figure. Tusken Warrior comes in at number 3. At number 2, we have the Mayor's Major Domo. We have another character that doesn't quite have a name yet, but what a brilliant character he was. This guy was comic gold every time he turned up. Just that awkward kind of secretary nature, the guy that gets sent to talk to all the dangerous people by the mayor who just doesn't want to get involved. And yeah, as much as I would like to get Mayor Mok Shaiz into the line as well, especially considering that we have that new Ithorian body, so we should try to get some mileage out of it, I am 10,000% more interested in getting the Major Domo. I absolutely love the look of this guy. I said it 1,000 times on this channel, but the Black Series does aliens really, really well, so this could be another fantastic opportunity to really knock that out of the park. And I'm not above playing devil's advocate here. Like, sometimes I will make arguments and make choices based on what I think Hasbro would go for, and I feel like there is a massive amount of potential for reuse and minimal new parts when it comes to the Major Domo. He's already a Twi'lek figure, so that's easy enough. But he's also predominantly dressed in soft goods, so really you could use any body that you wanted underneath those robes and it really wouldn't matter. Or perhaps you could go the direction that they went with Bib Fortuna and give it a plastic robe and just make him kind of a traffic cone figure. Because really, what does he need to do? He just needs to stand there and look awkward, and he would look absolutely brilliant. In fact, I have this great image in my head of a Major Domo figure that comes with like the data pad that Boba Fett gives him with his surrender written on it. And if just one of his hands was positioned like this, like with his finger up in the air, I could see a brilliant display opportunity with his neutral Black Series expression, just looking down at that datapad with his hand still up in the air like, oh, I should have read this before I came outside. I feel like that would be absolutely brilliant. I would love that, and I would buy it in a heartbeat. Like, I know they don't usually do like unique hand sculpts with figures, and we saw that most recently with Morgan Elsbeth, but they've done it in the past. Like, they gave that force push or handstand hand to Dagobah Luke, and I feel like this would be a great opportunity to add some character to this figure as it stands on the shelf. Like, I'm sure you could probably pull it off with just a trigger hand, and maybe I'll just sit there for an hour and hold the finger until it stands upright by itself. I just feel like it would add something to this figure, and it's a character that I would love to get represented on my shelf. So the Mayor's Major Domo is an easy pick for number 2.
I regret to inform you the mayor is indisposed for the rest of the week, and this area here is restricted. No, you're not. Sir, if you would be so. Apologies for the intrusion.
And speaking of well-dressed Twi'leks, my number 1 pick for characters from the Book of Boba Fett that I would like to see come to the Black Series is Garsa Fwip. Now, she is a fantastic character. Like, right from the outset, I started to feel like there was something going on with her, like she was going to double-cross him, or she was going to be working with the Pikes, or something like that. But I just found her character so fascinating, and every time she showed up, it was always a great scene, so I would love to get that represented represented in figure form. Now, I'm going to return to another point that I brought up twice already. The female body mold for the Black Series is on another level these days. Like, it is absolutely fantastic. And I feel like a great way to show off how good it is would be to give us a Garsa Fwip figure, because she uses that effeminate nature so well to keep people second guessing what her motives are. And I absolutely love that in her character. It would look so good in Black Series form. It's another opportunity for a great alien head sculpt with yet another Twi'lek character. And really, when it comes to wardrobe, she had some of the most diverse and interesting costumes in the entire series. So I would just happily take any of them. The white one, the dark one, any particular version that you would like. I would just love to get this character on my shelf because I feel like she is massively underrepresented and I think she's a fantastic character. I'm a little stumped on accessories, like maybe she could come with like posh glasses with drinks in them, or maybe it's an opportunity to get that Camtono back in the line. We could have the Camtono that just utterly annihilates her little slice of paradise. Or how about this, a Boba Fett helmet that's just full of coins. That would be brilliant. I absolutely love that little detail in the show. It was a brilliant way of doing it, like a little underhanded deal. You don't want to let other people around know what's going on. Just stick some coins in his helmet and send him on his way. Absolutely brilliant. I would go mad for that accessory. If they weren't so bloody difficult to find, I'd go out and buy another Throne Room Boba Fett, and I would make the damn accessory myself. Like, that's how much I want it. I don't know, I just feel like the Black Series did such a good job when they did Aayla Secura. They could absolutely translate that over to Garsa Fwip, and I would buy it in a heartbeat. Like, no hesitation whatsoever. Sticker in a box with some classy accessories, and yeah, I will walk out of the store with it, no problems whatsoever. Garsa Fwip is an easy choice for the #1 character from the Book of Boba Fett that I would like to see come to this line.
And thank you for the gracious introduction and making the long journey to visit our establishment. It is our little slice of paradise, and you are always welcome, as it is yours now.
So there you have it. Those were 5 characters from the Book of Boba Fett that I would like to see come to the Black Series, so let me pass this topic off to you. What are some characters from this series that you'd love to see in the line? Like, would you like to see the vehicles come back? Like, I know that the speeders weren't for everyone. I thought the design was cool, so I'd love to get figures of them. I don't know how well the chrome would translate, being as things that we've seen in the past with chromey looking characters that just sort of come out looking silver. So again, I don't know whether it would work perfectly, but I just want to get this stuff in the line. I want to get more figures for this series because it was such a surprise joy for me that I really want to see it represented on my shelf. So yeah, leave me a comment down below, we can discuss away. I always look forward to it, and I will respond to each and every one of you. As you're watching this, I'm not actually here. Through the wonders of technology, I am actually down in Kentucky, and I will be filming a special Kentucky toy hunt while I'm there, just to see how good the getting is down south. And next time on the Wishlist series, we're going to be talking about a show that, believe it or not, is even more underrepresented any of the properties we've talked about so far, with currently only 2 figures in the line at all, and one of them price locked behind a Disney Parks exclusive. So we will be doing a special top 10 wish list for Star Wars Resistance, because we need to get some more of those characters into the Black Series as quick as possible. They've got some great designs, and I am very eager to talk about it. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were my top 5 Black Series wishlist picks for the Book of Boba Fett. You may subscribe when ready. Boba Fett, Ooh, wow.